Hello and welcome to part 4 of my time-lapse workflow walkthrough. If you haven't already seen parts 1, 2 and 3, I urge you to watch those before watching this, because otherwise things that you see in these next episodes might not make sense and you'll have missed out on the tips and tricks that I've been showing as we go along. So let's dive in. In this next section we're going to cover what is probably the biggest bane of drone photographer and filmographer's lives, and that's the noise that we get from the small sensors in drones. So the next step that I'll move on to is noise reduction. This was made from JPEG stills, so the noise reduction won't be as effective as it is with video, but I'm going to do a whole tutorial just covering the noise reduction plugin that I use because it's extremely powerful, especially on these drones like the Mini 2 with small sensors. Even at ISO 100 there's quite a lot of noise, as you can see here, and in video that has like a speckling effect that you can see. Neat Video can get rid of that completely. Amazing product, but we'll go through how to do it. If you don't have Neat Video, then this step isn't going to be relevant to you, but I think it's worth watching just to see what effect it can have. In the previous section we applied a zoom and pan to the video, which is quite intensive, so we need to resort to the little time-saving hack I showed you earlier of exporting the footage and re-importing. So we need to go to File, Export and then Media, or press Ctrl M on the keyboard. It's then a case of checking that the export settings are correct. Apple ProRes 422, correct frame size, render at maximum depth, use maximum render quality, use the previews, and make sure import into project is selected and optical flow, then import. So again, we'll come back, we can close down that timeline, / to expand. When I checked the export settings I forgot to untick export audio, so I'll just right click and unlink and clear the audio. Make sure the media is selected by clicking on it and then drag the reduce noise plugin onto the footage. Click prepare, wait a second, then click build. Now that we're into Neat Video, we'll click Auto Profile, which automatically selects the best spot on the image for analysing the noise level. We'll then click Adjust and Preview, change the quality mode from normal to high, and we'll check dust and scratches and adapt to changing noise, which increases the effectiveness. We then switch over to the Spatial tab, change the quality mode from normal to high, and because we're working on a small sensor camera, we'll increase the luminance reduction amount to about 75%. As you can see within the filtered box, it's made a significant difference to the quality of the image, but we'll bump up the noise level slightly. And I always check edge smoothing and sharpening. And look at that, inside the filtered box, pretty much a perfect image. Colours are smoothed out, all the noise is gone, but we've retained detail. Once we're happy, we can just click apply and it takes us straight back to Premiere Pro. A lot of people suggest that you only render the footage when you absolutely have to, but I don't like getting to the end of a project, then rendering it and not liking some of the changes I've made at the early stages, which is why I render quite often. Also, rendering regularly means that I can export the footage, re-import, and speed up the whole process. If you've stacked quite a few intensive effects such as noise reduction, zooming, panning, stabilization and heavy color grading, you can be waiting for that final render for an hour, 2 hours, maybe more. Noise reduction is probably the most intensive process for the computer. When I first applied noise reduction without exporting and re-importing the footage, to process this 1.5 minute clip was going to take well over an hour. By exporting and importing it back using my little hack, it's got the processing time down to about 16 minutes. That sounds like a long time, but this is a 1.5 minute clip being processed all in one go, and it is well worth the time. Once you do it, you won't look back. As you can see, the noise is all gone, the colours are smooth, and the details enhanced.